Very good afternoon. Welcome to today's afternoon conversation. Today, we are going to have a conversation with Dr. Evita Fernandez from Hyderabad. There have been a lot of people whom I have come across during my entire medical career and my medical life. These are the type of people from whom you not only learn about academics, about practice, about work as such, but they are the people who inspire you to become great. They are themselves a focal point which makes you think, how do I really become somebody like him or her? And I really believe Dr. Evita is one of those people whom I came across, fortunately, right in the beginning of my medical career. When I started working and I went to Hyderabad to operate a few cases at her place, besides the gynec part, I was always in awe with her. I mean, the way things were being managed, the way things were being planned and executed. And we hope that today myself and Dr. Gita will be talking to her and asking her what makes her think the way she thinks and what makes her plan things the way she does. Dr. Gita, will you please introduce Dr. Evita to us?
I must say that when we first decided to do this kind of a event where we were going to do a life in focus, I think in the same breath, both Rajesh and I mentioned Evita as the first name and the first person we were going to talk to. She is a person who inspires all of us. I must say that I have enormous respect for her as a colleague. And more importantly, I have been extremely privileged to have her friendship. And I also, not a day when I don't thank whatever the forces that put us both on the same timelines on this earth. So Evita has been an obstetrician who has inspired all of us, and she is somebody who has a single-minded focus. She wanted to do only obstetrics. Having inherited a small hospital, she took it and has built it into one of the biggest names in the country. She has 5 institutions in the city of Hyderabad. 3 of them are obstetric hospitals. One is a high-risk obstetric hospital. Another one is just called Storcombe. And then she also has an institution which does gynec, fetal medicine, and ultrasound. So, what again, this I must say before I proceed, is you must remember that this is an achievement by a single woman. No husband who is there, who was a surgeon or an anesthetist who was pushing her, helping her. No other family members who were doctors. But she built her own extraordinary team, and they took Fernandez Foundation beyond what anybody could expect. So, Evita, my first question to you is, what does it mean to you to be a doctor? What is it that drives you as a physician?
Thank you. To begin with, Rajesh and Gita, thank you so much for your very, very, very generous, effusive, kind words. I'm embarrassed, but it's an honor to be here. Gita, you asked a very serious question. What does it mean to be a doctor? I think it's such a privilege to be a doctor because I've always wanted to be a doctor from the age of 8. And, it's such a blessing to be able to do what you really want to do. You're actually listening to your heart. You're listening to an inner calling and you're giving it your best. So most times you hardly felt you were going to work. And why did I want to be a doctor? To serve. I just wanted to serve. And by 16, I knew I wanted to be an obstetrician. So I really had no other thought in mind except how can we make it safe for every pregnant woman, to feel safe through her pregnancy and through labor and childbirth. That's all I wanted to do. And I was fortunate to be able to do it.
Right. Very often I have said that Evita and I were separated at birth because she and I, as I said, share a lot of similarities. So I want to ask you something which many people have thrown at you. You started off, your parents were doctors, you had a small hospital, it was your legacy, you inherited it. So, was it just that this whole practice fell into your lap, or were there enormous struggles involved in getting to where you are now? Was it just an easy walk, or was it a struggle?
A good question, Gita. I wish I could say it was an easy walk. I was very aware that I had indeed got a good head start in life compared to my colleagues because I was given a fully functioning hospital. But the problem was because my parents were very much loved and colleagues liked the aftercare, the nursing care. So it was a kind of a multi-purpose nursing home. We had physicians, we had orthopedic surgeons, ENT chaps, different people coming and operating. And here I was wanting to make it a one stop hospital for women and newborn only. So I had this huge task of asking all these lovely people who were good friends of my parents and say, would you mind now going somewhere else because I want to convert this into a one stop place? So that was my first challenge. The second was I had this crazy idea that I had to build a team. And in a nursing home, usually women come to see the boss because they think the boss is the head and is the best and should be seen by everybody. And here I was saying, I don't know a lot about many other things. I know this, but I need to build a team. And I was blessed to have colleagues who actually agreed with this crazy idea. And so we had to build this team. We had to sell the concept to the woman that, look, when they would come to me, example for fertility issues, I said, I'm not the best person. My colleague, I know she's younger than me, but she's better than me. Go and see her. Or when you get pregnant, I'll have the joy of taking care of you. So we kind of sold each other to women in that sense. So it took a while to push that concept of a team. Once I got into that, there was no looking back because then each one, the core group that walked with me from 85 to 90 and joined me and continue to be with us together, we evolved because nothing gave me greater joy than to discover colleagues had the potential of leadership, expertise, and just letting the spotlight shine on each one of them. Today, it's the fourth ring or fifth ring of youngsters who are leading. They're leading departments, they're leading teams, and it's been a joy to just kind of walk away from all this because they are now taking the organization forward. It meant 19 hours a day of hard work, Gita. For the
Yeah,
first at least 15 years, it was hard work. There are no shortcuts
yes,
to this.
I
exactly.
guess
There is
what really
absolutely.
matters is the consistency of the results. Probably one of the things which really made a lot of a difference is the consistency with which the Fernandez units have been delivering excellent results throughout the years. And I also appreciate the fact because when I remember I was a newcomer in 2001, 2002, I started my laparoscopic practice and I had the fortunate opportunity to operate at Fernandez Hospital where Dr. Evita did welcome me. And I guess I'm thankful to that approach of hers that she is willing to accommodate other people in her team where she believes that they are able to do a little better output for that particular work required.
So there are
Thank
two things. There are two things that show this shows about Evita. One is generosity of spirit, which I think doctors have to learn, especially in building a team. And the second thing is the lack of ego. We know we are good, we know we are working hard to do what we are doing, but to be able to share it with others. In fact, just like you, Evita, when I built up my team, my my goal, and I should tell all the youngsters who worked with me, I said, when people come to the hospital and say, I want to see only Dr. Gita Arjun, and we say, no, you can see any of us, you'll get the exact same care. And I say, I want you to see them so well, with so much love and empathy, that tomorrow they'll come and say, oh, I'm happy with seeing the other person. And I said, that
Yes,
will give me the greatest joy, you know.
absolutely.
Yes. So that
Absolutely.
is the thing about sharing.
Yeah.
And I think you have really, really shown that that works. So in that sense, how do you measure your professional success?
Oh, that's an interesting question. There are probably two, three ways of measuring success, Gita. One is the volumes, I think, speak for themselves in terms of numbers. The second is the fact that obstetric colleagues have referred their complicated mothers to you. To me, that's one of the finest compliments when a colleague refers a mother
Yes.
to you. The next thing is when you have younger colleagues who are flying, and you've got the joy of encouraging them to fly, and people come in and don't ask for you anymore. To me, that is the litmus test. Today, I can walk around the hospitals, I can ride the elevators, listen to conversations, and people don't know who I am. Uh, to me, that is, in one sense, a measurement of success. But I would think the litmus test is if the culture continues, when I drop dead tomorrow, because a lot of us, my colleagues I know who walked with me for more than 30 years, will probably share the same concern. Can the culture continue? And that, I believe, would be the litmus test 20 years, 30 years from today, when we are no more.
Right.
We pray that that will continue. The culture of
So
service, the culture of respect, the culture of putting the patient's needs first, not looking at your watch. That culture needs to stay strong. Yeah.
yes, the culture of kindness. I think that is the first and most important part of being a doctor, is that innate kindness.
Yeah.
I think in this day and age, when doctors are being denigrated, when people are turning violent against doctors, I think
Yeah.
it's because they are seeing this absence of this kindness, this wanting to help. You said you
Mhm.
went into medicine to serve, and so did I, and I think that's what Rajesh is doing too. Um,
Mm.
and people say, don't you want the money? So what is your answer to that? I mean, are we doing charity work? Are we not making money? So is this service and get making money of it, of our service, is that wrong, or is it absolutely fine?
Gita, if you want to run a service, you need to make money. You need to make profit. Profit is not a dirty word. There
Yes.
are two things. One, can we make profit running a business with all the ethics, with all the honesty and the transparency? People laughed at me when I said, we only operate with white, we have no cash transactions, I have no black money, it's all white. Yes, we can run a successful business honestly, ethically. So when I make profit, then the important thing is, what do I do with that profit? Gita, I don't own farms, I don't own jewelry, and I don't have palaces to go to. I put back every rupee that came out of it. I was an employee, I was on a salary, though all the shares were in my name after my parents passed on. I never dipped into the dividends. So, because I looked at the organization as, I was a custodian and I had to pass it on and it had to be used for a larger good. So, honestly, profit is important, but what you do with that profit is extremely important. So, we were able to cross subsidize, we were able to pay our salaries, give increments, get back into the organization, buy equipment, and everything was being accounted for. And the fact that colleagues are involved in the decisions, there's a sense of ownership. And I feel that's the only way one can run a business. At least it worked for me.
Yeah, to repeat myself again, we were separated at birth because we also ran our hospital entirely white. We were on a salary and we put all our money back into the hospital. Everything was accountable, everything was, and we had
Yeah.
a limit to how much we could charge. There was no limit to how little we could charge. In
Yeah.
fact, we did a lot of free cases, but there was a high upper limit to how much we would charge. Right.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you brought this thing about passing on this culture. So you have started an institution, a very large institution. You're doing 1,000 deliveries a month, which is a huge number compared to anybody anywhere in the world. How do you make sure that these large institutions, and you're only one person, you do not have children, you have are going to pass this on? How does this legacy go on? What are you doing about your succession plan?
Yeah. Well, another good question. I started thinking of my succession plan for probably about 10, 12 years ago, Gita, and two things I had decided. I would identify the person I was going to pass the baton to, which I did maybe about 6 years ago. So I began to prepare that person. The second, I decided I would convert what is a private limited for profit company into a not for profit. Since I was running it as a not for profit, where all the money was going back into the organization, I decided let me convert it into a Section 8 company. So whoever takes over from me doesn't carry that burden, because it was a lonely road that I
Yes,
walked, because
yes,
ultimately the buck stopped with me.
yes.
And I felt, now let's make sure that whoever takes it will be able to do it with less anxiety. So now I converted it, got in a board of governors, donated the entire organization. I'm told that if I had actually sold it, I would have got several hundred crores. But then I asked myself, what the hell am I going to do with that? So
You can't
now
put it under your bed. You can't
I,
put it under your bed.
no. So now I'm absolutely free. I don't own a single square inch. It belongs to the foundation, the board of directors, and I live my life and I sleep well at night, which I'm sure you do too. Can you
Absolutely.
put a price for that? You can't
No.
you can't put a price on this. Yeah.
It's priceless. I agree. Agree. We
Yeah.
also did a succession plan and we
Yeah.
hand it over. And again, even if we have children, we can't burden them with that.
Yeah.
If they don't want to be doctors, if my son or my daughter, neither of them had that passion, and I said, unless you're passionate about it, there's no way you
Yes.
can become a doctor. And I
I
didn't want to
agree.
burden them with running this place, so we also did a succession plan. Now, as far as your practice is concerned, you have done a lot of unique things. What are the three things that you could name which you're very proud of in your practice?
I think to start with, the fact that we were a close knit team and thoroughly protocol driven. I was very proud of that, because we broke that whole concept of a mother asking for a particular doctor to be there at her birth. I can't remember when we stopped doing this, maybe 15 years ago. And if today a particular doctor wants to be there, she's there because of various reasons. There may be some emotional connect. It could be the past history, but it's not because somebody really wants you and you alone, that you have to get up at 2 in the morning. So that has helped us give better care, because particularly during an emergency, you want a doctor who can think clearly, who's there for the night, who's had enough experience. So the second thing is the fact that we have consultants on the floor 24/7 at that level, so they can dive in, handle emergencies. But if there's anything today that makes me proud, I think the fact that we've gone into midwifery and we've broken that whole concept that a low risk, healthy woman needs an obstetrician. In 2014, Gita, now prepare yourself for this. We told ourselves that a healthy woman in Fernandez if she has a spontaneous birth, no complications, lovely labor, if she's being attended to by a doctor, it's suboptimal care. She should actually be offered midwifery care. Unfortunately, we don't have enough midwives to serve the volumes that we have. But take this midwifery care that we are offering in Fernandez, and we've taken it into public hospitals of Telangana. So, there in district hospitals, in 13 districts of 33 districts of Telangana, we've got midwives who are offering the same care, birth companion, mobility, birthing in any position of your choice, drinking and eating, gym balls in district hospitals of labor. So the normal births, physiological births have increased, the C sections have come down, and the poorest of the poor woman is receiving the same respectful care that we offer in Fernandez. I can't be grateful for anything more.
I
I
guess that
can't.
is that would be the best legacy to leave behind, I suppose.
Yes,
Nothing could
yes,
improve or better that.
Nothing gives me more joy than that. And I'm
yeah.
so grateful to my team for letting me walk away because they don't need me anymore. And my
Yes, but
energies.
on a personal note, I would really want to know what would be your daily schedule when you were working actively in Fernandez compared to now, when you are supervising or overlooking things. So, what would be the daily schedule that you had initially when you started working there?
Yes,
It'd be
I'm
nice
an
to
early.
know how much of work you really had to do physically initially.
Yeah. I'm an early riser, Rajesh. So I would wake up at 4 in the morning and spend some quiet time in prayer, reflection, plan your day, do your reading. Then I would go for a walk or a swim because I needed some exercise. And then get into hospital, depending on, if you had an OT list to start with, or rounds or teaching sessions. Start the day at 8. And sometimes I wouldn't get back to my flat, to my apartment, sometimes till 10:30, maybe 11, because if you're running an evening OP or you have a mother to birth or you have a cesarean, so you end up working probably 15, 16 hours. But that began to come down as I got older and I realized my reflexes were not that great. I couldn't keep all the knowledge, I couldn't keep pace, and I felt I was more of a liability. And the youngsters now were just amazing, incredible, faster. I began to stop, getting involved with high risk mothers and got the youngsters to take this forward. So today, I would say I still wake up at 4. I love to swim. I was doing about 700 meters a day. And I read a lot. And it's a different kind of pace. A little more difficult because you're dealing with planning the roadmap, the vision for the organization, which is far more difficult. But I'm enjoying it. That's how I've changed.
So I don't think you're working less hours. I don't think you can because you are not the kind of person who can. So the thing that I want to ask you, I know you're a phenomenal writer. I read your pieces in that magazine that you
Nari.
bring out.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nari. And I love your editorials. You bring out so, I mean, again, one more thing that you do extraordinarily well.
Thank you.
So as far as personal success is concerned, you talked about your professional success. What do you think you're going to be proud of when we ultimately leave this planet, this earth? At that point, what do you think is one thing that you would be extremely proud of as a legacy that you have left in your hospital?
Gosh,
Not
that's a
professional.
that's a tough one, but I hope people will remember me as hopefully a kind person and a person who played fair a person who was compassionate and committed to what she did. I I don't think I would look at anything else. Never thought about it, Gita. That's quite a
No,
question, really.
it's
But
really great, and whatever you are is actually what you have just said. You already are all that.
I don't know. I hope people will judge me kindly.
and remember, Evita, that the one thing they will miss is because the thing that I have walked with you through your hospital, and the number of people who can run up to you and look at you and expect a smile and receive it, they will never forget that. And that's the legacy you're leaving behind. And that is something that everybody around you has absorbed, that you need to.
You're frozen.
Yes, I guess there must be some network issue happening at the end. But I would like to complete her talk that it really has been fantastic. And like I really mentioned, no, I mean, whatever you have wished for, it is already existing. And you are that kind of a person that we ourselves really look up to. And it's really been a pleasure to have you here with us, Dr.
Thank you,
Evita.
Rajesh. It's been
Hope
an
you to have a
honor.
very good time.
It's been
And
an honor and a privilege. Thank you. Yeah.
our pleasure. With that, I guess I think Dr. Gita's internet connection must have gotten hanged. So I'd like to end our
I'm
conversation for
back.
the. Oh,
My
okay. It's back.
Wi-Fi just.
Gita, we
No
lost you.
issues. Yeah, we'll get connected later, but I would like to now end the broadcast at this note. Thank you, Dr. Gita, also for being here with us. Dr. Evita, once again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you, Gita. That was very enjoyable and a privilege. Thank you.